So I think we are amongst the first NBFCs in India to sign for the PCAF. It has helped us to identify sectors wherein our emissions are high, and probably it will help us reshape our lending business, because I firmly believe that for you to take any coordinated action for any goal that you have to first identify what's the impact.
Today, I am in conversation with Ms. Apurva Rathore, Company Secretary and Chief Sustainability Officer, L&T Finance, a leader who is driving ESG vision at the intersection of finance and sustainable growth. Hello, welcome. Thank you for sparing your valuable time for this interview. The first question that I have for you is, how does being a PCAF signatory influence your finance emission strategy? Are you seeing it to reshape the way you evaluate lending and investments?
So I think we are amongst the first NBFCs in India to sign for the PCAF, that is Partnership for Carbon Accounting Financials. And it's been an interesting journey for us. We've been disclosing financed emissions for our portfolio since last year. Last year was the first year for us. And the important thing to note is that we are an NBFC which is in a retail sector. While we had seen many companies disclosing financed emissions for its wholesale because of the quantum that's there, it's easier to disclose. But disclosing for a retail portfolio was a difficult task, and that's what we did last year. By signing with PCAF, it just adds the transparency because it lays down the framework which could be used to compute our financed emissions. So I would say that it has enhanced our transparency and accountability. That's definitely the first one, which will give investors confidence in what we disclose. Secondly, like I said, while we started with our secured portfolio, our two-wheelers and farm equipment, these are secured lending that we do, we moved on to unsecured portfolio this year. And we were surprised that the variation between secured assets and unsecured assets in terms of emissions could be a little different. And that's what, when we signed up for PCAF, we got the knowledge of it. So I would only say that by being a signatory to PCAF, we've enhanced our transparency and accountability. It has helped us to identify sectors wherein our emissions are high, and probably it will help us reshape our lending business. For example, when we look today at EV, while we are in ICE kind of a sector, lending to the EV sector will help us reduce our emissions.
Thank you. That was quite insightful. So the next question that I have for you is, how is L&T Finance measuring and managing its finance emissions, and what targets have you set for decarbonization?
Thank you. L&T Finance started its journey on measuring emissions, and I will come back to financed emissions, but I would say L&T Finance started its journey of measuring its emissions impact since 21-22. We took our first carbon neutrality target. We said that we'll be carbon neutral by 2035. And I think that's the first step towards measuring our emissions. When you look at a financial institution, especially a retail financial institution, there are three types of scope: the emission scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3. Scope 1 and scope 2 are probably the easiest one for us to measure. But like I answered in the previous question, scope 3 for us, the greatest or the biggest contributor is our portfolio emissions. When we lend to a two-wheeler or when we lend to a tractor, that's what matters to us. Again, we started disclosing it because I firmly believe that for you to take any coordinated action for any goal that you have to first identify what's the impact. So we started measuring. We started disclosing, and this year we are looking at mitigation strategies to ensure that the overall impact of financed emissions, how we can reduce. And this includes various things, probably designing some sustainable finance products, probably increasing our exposure to electric vehicles, increasing our exposure to green buildings.
And what's that one ESG risk and opportunity you believe that businesses today are underestimating?
So I'll answer both, risk and opportunity both. From a risk perspective, I think climate risk is something that people are not really talking, while they are talking about it, but I don't think so there is concerted action. While we talk a lot, I think everybody needs to come together and probably take action against climate risks that we are facing. We can see that the regulators are also looking at it and trying to establish framework for doing climate risk assessment. Especially in the context of a financial institution, I would say when we lend money, it is very important that we get back the money that we've lent. And one of the factors that contribute to the repayment capacity of any borrower is whether his or her house is there, whether his or her job is there. And if you lend in locations which are prone to, say, climate risk, be it flood, be it drought, be it earthquake, the chances of the existence of those two things are not there, and which will directly impact our recovering capability, which will lead to higher delinquencies in our portfolio. So I think from a financial institution perspective, climate risk is one that I believe that we really need to pay attention to and look at our portfolios and assess the climate risks that are there today. From an opportunity perspective, I would say that AI, digital data, etc., are throwing up a lot of opportunities. It helps you to use newer systems. For example, we have now something called as Cyclops, which is our credit underwriting engine that helps us to identify customers with a good track record, which in turn helps us to create a very strong portfolio. So I think risk perspective, it's climate risk. From an opportunity perspective, I think data, AI, digital data analytics are the things that will help financial institutions steer forward.
That was indeed very insightful. And the last question that I have is, how do you balance immediate business pressures with the long-term ESG goals that companies wish to achieve?
I feel that when you talk about ESG or when you talk about sustainability, it has to drive from top. If I take a step back and look at the journey that L&T Finance had, when we adopted our Lakshya 2021 plan, so we usually have a 5-year plan that we put in place. While there were business pillars to the plan that we had, we were very carefully structured to ensure that we also have ESG as one of the pillars. And we said that we will mainstream practices into businesses, operations, processes. I think with that intent being established in the organization, with that pillar being a critical part of our strategy, it just laid down the foundation for the entire organization. And that's the place, I think, where we started balancing between a business goal as well as ESG goals. And we consciously take a lot of efforts on all the three aspects. Now, when you talk about people, we have our CSR projects wherein women empowerment is a center stage. We spend about 70% of our CSR kitty towards women empowerment and social upliftment. When we talk about profit, like I said, we have Cyclops. We are also planning to launch a portfolio monitoring system. So that's going to contribute to the profit. Planet perspective, we've done a lot. 33% of our entire energy consumption is through green energy. We have taken steps like disclosing financed emissions, which will help us to lay down the strategy for the year going forward as to how can we design products that help us to meet our sustainability goals.
That was indeed very insightful conversation with Ms. Apurva Rathore. Thank you so much.